the goal is to be guided by evidence, by data. Now, some of the data was already released in 4 batches from the US government, but it's not conclusive. It's hard to tell.
The Pentagon just dropped its highly classified 4th UFO data release, sending shockwaves through Washington. But it's what Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb just exposed about these 40 new files that has left the world terrified. Objects defying gravity, defying physics, and defying explanations. Are we truly alone, or is the government hiding a reality too dark to handle? The truth might be a hard pill to swallow. The breaking news. What would you do if you found out the government uploaded 40 highly sensitive documents and 19 raw military videos? Well, that's exactly what happened in July 2026, when the Department of Defense dropped its 4th major batch of unclassified files on unexplained aerial phenomena. The global scientific community was caught completely off guard. Within minutes, online tracking forums, mainstream newsrooms, and civilian researchers scrambled to download the files, pushing web servers to their absolute limits. But that wasn't what blew the whole thing off the lid. A world-famous Harvard physicist, Avi Loeb, went on national television to explain what was hidden in those files. Loeb wasn't just any Harvard scholar. He was also the head of the newly formed White House UAP Science Advisory Council. Viewers who had tuned into CBS and News Nation were reluctant to accept the possibility of the videos being real, expecting him to dismiss the videos as some kind of sick joke. But the scientific breakdown did the exact opposite. He confirmed that a portion of the files showed physical objects defying science completely. What's even worse is the fact that these defense documents could prove the existence of actual extraterrestrial crafts that have been sighted entering sovereign airspace with absolute freedom, leaving our best military systems completely helpless. Loeb hinted at something even deeper and more unsettling hidden in the files. He teased a long-time cover-up that stretches all the way back to the birth of the atomic bomb. This leaves everyone wondering why the military hid these facts in plain sight, and why a top government advisor decided to validate them right now. But to truly comprehend the sheer terror of Loeb's newest revelations, we must first look at the bizarre path that turned Harvard's top astronomer into the world's most dangerous alien hunter. Before Avi Loeb became known for tracking cosmic anomalies, he was an academic genius. He spent 9 years as the longest-serving chair of Harvard's astronomy department, publishing hundreds of highly respected papers on black holes and the early universe. He possessed the kind of institutional authority that most scientists spend their entire lives trying to achieve. Then, he did the unthinkable. He turned his focus from safe theoretical mathematics to hunting for physical alien technology, which colleagues weren't exactly in support of. Scientists accused him of risking Harvard's pristine reputation on science fiction fantasies. He faced heavy mockery in academic journals and cold shoulders at university conferences. Instead of backing down, Loeb reinforced his position. He argued that waiting for radio signals from distant stars was a waste of time, and he believed that the required bodies needed to look for physical objects visiting our own celestial backyard. Knowing that government red tape would only slow him down, Loeb bypassed the system entirely. He went directly to visionary private donors, quickly raising millions of dollars to launch the Galileo project. He used the money to build a global network of advanced cameras and sensors to monitor the skies independently. Realizing Loeb was closer to scooping the secret right out from under them, they decided to take a U-turn. As the Pentagon scrambled to establish its own official UAP task forces, the initial academic mockery turned into a silent panic. The government was finally forced to admit that they were tracking things they could not fully explain, paving the way for Loeb's ultimate vindication. The rogue astronomer was appointed to the newly created White House UAP Science Advisory Council, putting him directly between classified intelligence and civilian science. Loeb operates on a very simple rule. He often says that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and they also require extraordinary funding to investigate. Now, he is walking a dangerous tightrope, keeping one foot in top-secret government briefings and the other in his mission for absolute scientific transparency. And yet, Loeb's obsession didn't start with government files. It began in 2017, when a terrifying cosmic traveler breached our solar system and changed our understanding of reality forever. The Oumuamua that started it all. It all began in October 2017, when a powerful telescope in Hawaii, called Pan-STARRS, spotted a strange speck zooming through the skies. It was moving so fast that it could only have come from another star system, making it the first verified interstellar visitor in human history. Scientists named it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word that translates to a messenger from the distant past. As scientists around the world took a look at it, they realized its physical dimensions were incredibly bizarre. It was not a typical round space rock. This one was highly elongated, shaped either like a long giant cigar or a flat pancake, tumble spinning through the dark. What really baffled the scientists was how the object behaved as it circled round the sun. It suddenly got a mysterious speed boost, accelerating on a path that defied the laws of gravity alone. Normally, a comet speeds up because solar heat melts its ice, spraying out a massive tail of gas and dust. But as they watched Oumuamua closely, they saw absolutely nothing. It had no dust, no gas, and no tail. It was getting a physical push with no visible explanation, leaving astronomers completely stumped. This is when Avi Loeb decided to think outside the box, publishing a paper that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. He suggested Oumuamua might actually be an artificial solar sail, which is a super-thin sheet of alien technology designed to be pushed through space by the pressure of sunlight. This theory sent scientists into an instant panic mode. To avoid the alien explanation, they began inventing highly complex and unproven ideas, like proposing it was a giant, invisible iceberg made of pure hydrogen. Loeb firmly argued that these natural theories required exotic space rocks that nobody had ever seen before. In spite of all the theories, Oumuamua was moving far too fast for humanity to launch a rocket and study it up close. The silent visitor faded back into deep space, leaving behind a lingering mystery that obsessed Loeb. To him, this was a cosmic warning shot. It proved that our solar system is not isolated, and we are likely surrounded by interstellar space junk or active scouts. However, Oumuamua was only a distant shadow in the dark. To find physical proof, Loeb would have to mount a dangerous expedition to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. In 2014, a meteor known as IM-1 waltzed through the skies and exploded over the Pacific Ocean near Papua New Guinea. Years later, official data from the United States Space Command confirmed that this object traveled at extreme speeds from outside the solar system before hitting Earth. During that period, there were speculations that an extraterrestrial being had made physical contact with our planet. In the summer of 2023, Loeb decided to go find it. He organized a privately funded expedition to the remote impact site, dropping a heavy magnetic sled nearly 2 miles down to scrape the dark volcanic ash off the seabed. It was a high-risk gamble that paid off in a big way. His team successfully recovered hundreds of microscopic metallic spheres, each smaller than a grain of sand. These tiny beads contained a bizarre combination of beryllium, lanthanum, and uranium, a mixture scientists now call BELAUN. Loeb proposed a fascinating idea, arguing that these spheres might not be natural space rocks at all. Instead, they could be the molten debris of a highly sophisticated alien spacecraft that melted upon entering our atmosphere. This claim immediately sparked intense academic disagreements. Rival scientists publicly mocked the discovery, claiming the beads were nothing more than industrial pollution or coal ash dumped by passing cargo ships. But Loeb didn't agree with that theory. To prove his case, He used advanced isotopic testing to prove that the material predated human industrialization by thousands of years, completely destroying the coal ash theory. Armed with interstellar metals from the ocean and cosmic anomalies from space, Loeb was finally granted access to the Pentagon's inner sanctum just as the fourth UAP files dropped. Dissecting the fourth tranche. This wasn't a small leak. The Department of Defense laid out a massive block of information consisting of 40 unclassified intelligence files alongside 19 raw military camera feeds. It was highly organized, heavily studied data that instantly changed the global conversation about what is lurking in our solar system. These documents showed that the military has been dealing with these mysterious objects in space for decades. As discussions come up about it, it points out how this has been a persistent national security issue that the government has failed to solve. When Loeb first sat down to study the files, he did not immediately jump to wild conclusions. As a trained physicist, his first instinct was to be highly skeptical. He began dividing the 40 files into different categories, systematically separating the ordinary from the truly unexplained. He threw out the obvious cases and quickly identified some of the captured objects as common human technology, secret drone testing, or simple optical illusions caused by camera lenses. Yet, as he went further into the remaining folders, his clinical skepticism turned into genuine scientific awe. A core group of these files could not be explained away by any normal means. What makes these specific files so convincing is that they do not rely on shaky eyewitness stories from people looking up at the night sky. These encounters were captured by advanced military hardware. We're talking about multi-sensor tracking, where an object is detected on high-tech radar, followed by thermal cameras, and sometimes even picked up on sonar systems underwater at the exact same moment. It is practically impossible for all of these independent defense systems to glitch in the exact same way. The release of these detailed files caused a massive public reaction, shattering the old stereotype that UFO sightings are only talked about by conspiracy theorists. This data proved that highly trained military pilots and advanced naval ships are regularly encountering these objects, bringing us to the fact that the Pentagon might have released these files because of an internal panic. Out of fear of the unknown, it might seem they are starting to realize they cannot control or protect their own sovereign airspace. The most alarming part of Loeb's analysis was a realization about his own work. He noticed that the strange patterns and flight behaviors detailed in the government files matched the independent data his Galileo project was already gathering. The secret military sensors and Loeb's civilian cameras were tracking the exact same anomalies. It was the ultimate proof that these objects are real. But out of all the documents hidden inside this massive release, one specific archival file from 1948 sent a cold shiver straight through the scientific community. To understand why this old file is so terrifying, we have to travel back to the late 1940s, right at the start of the Cold War. Los Alamos, New Mexico, was the most secure and heavily guarded location on Earth because it was the center of America's nuclear weapons program. Suddenly, this highly sensitive military hub became the epicenter of a massive wave of strange aerial sightings that left national security officials in a state of absolute panic. Military pilots, government guards, and elite scientists began reporting dozens of brilliant, neon-green fireballs cruising across the night sky. These objects weren't like any known natural phenomenon. A normal meteor plunges downward from space at a steep angle, burns up quickly, and creates a massive sonic boom as it breaks the sound barrier. But these green spheres did none of those things. They were completely silent, lacking any sonic booms, and they traveled slowly in horizontal lines. They maintained a fixed altitude, flying perfectly parallel to the curves of the Earth, almost like they were carefully scanning the military bases below. The situation grew so critical that the military organized a secret emergency conference in 1949 to solve the mystery. They gathered the most brilliant scientific minds in the country, including Edward Teller, the legendary physicist who helped design the atomic bomb and the hydrogen bomb. Avi Loeb noted that these top-tier scientists analyzed the data from every possible angle, trying to prove the green spheres were unusual meteors or atmospheric tricks. In the end, they failed. The newly unclassified files reveal that the brightest minds of the 20th century walked away from that conference, admitting they had no natural explanation. Loeb points out that this historical file is highly important because it cancels out the idea that these anomalies are a modern invention or a product of recent human technology. These entities have been actively monitoring our nuclear sites since the very dawn of the atomic age. Why would a non-human intelligence show such a deep, intense interest in our nuclear weapons? It points to a long-term, calculated surveillance program keeping tabs on humanity as we develop the power to destroy our own planet. It makes you wonder how long they have really been watching us from the shadows. If the historical files proved that these entities have been watching our nuclear weapons for decades, the newly released videos from modern military operations would prove something even more alarming. This brings us to the 19 raw, high-definition videos captured by our military's most advanced targeting systems, the 19 new videos. Avi Loeb didn't rush to declare every single pixel of footage as proof of alien life. To protect his reputation, he actively searched for the most plausible explanations possible. One of his studies included a set of clips filmed from outside the space shuttle, showing mysterious drifting objects. Instead of claiming they were alien scouts, Loeb systematically proved they were highly likely to be unglamorous pieces of human-made space trash floating in orbit. He did the same thing with a highly talked-about video showing a bizarre, six-pointed star hovering over the Yellow Sea. While internet forums claimed it was an alien craft, Loeb used his understanding of optics to show it was actually an illusion. It was a diffraction pattern, a visual trick created by the camera's lens when capturing a distant point of light. By debunking these clips, Loeb proved he was not a starry-eyed believer, but a meticulous scientist in search of the truth. This careful approach is exactly why the rest of his findings shocked the public. After filtering out the space garbage and optical tricks, a small group of videos remained that couldn't be debunked by any known natural or human technology. These were not fuzzy, single-camera blips, but anomalous objects were tracked simultaneously on multiple physical channels. They showed up on infrared, visible light cameras, and military radar systems at the same time. Having multiple independent sensors locked onto the same object at the same moment completely rules out software glitches, digital tricks, or camera artifacts. And these were solid, physical targets. When Loeb went on television to explain this, the internet went wild. For decades, major news channels treated the topic of UFOs with silly sound effects and jokes. Now, they had a premier Harvard professor lending credibility that real, solid crafts, possibly owned by aliens, are operating in our atmosphere using unknown propulsion. During live interviews, experienced news anchors were left completely speechless, as Loeb downright confirmed their suspicions. In fact, he made it clear that this is a serious reality that can no longer be ignored, because among those unexplainable videos were maneuvers so violent, so radical, that they completely shattered the known laws of aerodynamic physics. The military footage shows crafts traveling at thousands of miles per hour. Suddenly, without slowing down for even a fraction of a second, they make sharp 90-degree turns. Calculating the actual physical forces behind a maneuver like that, the results are incredibly shocking. A turn that sharp at those speeds generates thousands of G-forces. For comparison, elite fighter pilots can only survive about 9 G-forces before passing out. Executing this turn would instantly crush a human pilot into a blob and even rip any known aircraft into tiny pieces. Yet, these objects didn't break apart. They do not even have wings, engines, visible propulsion systems, or exhaust trails. As they tear through our airspace, they do not even produce a sonic boom. From Avi Loeb's observation, these objects behave as if they are completely unaffected by inertia or the surrounding atmosphere. It is as if they create a bubble around themselves, ignoring the air resistance that normally slows down or heats up planes. The files even contain a stranger detail, describing what scientists call transmedium capabilities. What this means is that the objects can move effortlessly between different environments. Sensors tracked these crafts plunging from the upper atmosphere directly into the deep ocean. They did not slow down before hitting the water, and they sustained absolutely no physical damage. Other military feeds show these objects flying in hyper-precise, tight geometric formations directly through heavy clouds, indicating highly advanced and coordinated control. How is this possible? Loeb has suggested some groundbreaking propulsion theories to explain it, including the manipulation of localized gravitational fields, or even bending space-time. If you can control gravity around a craft, you do not feel g-forces because you are technically falling through space rather than being pushed through the air. This realization is deeply unsettling. Whoever engineered these crafts possesses a mastery of physics that makes our most advanced stealth fighter jets look like prehistoric stone tools. Nevertheless, as the world reeled from these science-defying videos, Avi Loeb noticed a glaring omission in the release, a strategic piece of deception engineered by the Pentagon itself. What the Pentagon withheld from the public. The Department of Defense wanted everyone to believe they were being completely open, giving the public a generous peek behind the curtain. In reality, this fourth release was a carefully managed illusion of transparency. The military only handed over files they deemed safe for public consumption, acting as an elite gatekeeper filtering what we are allowed to know. But what no one knew was that the interesting details about this explosive news were what they kept locked away. Information leaked out that the Pentagon actively withheld at least 50 highly critical, deeply revealing UAP files. These documents are locked deep inside ironclad classified vaults, completely out of reach of the public and civilian academics. Loeb was not about to stay quiet about this. Leveraging his high-profile position on the newly formed White House UAP Science Advisory Council, he publicly confronted the national security establishment. He called out the unnecessary secrecy, demanding that the military stop hiding the truth from the scientific community. One of Loeb's biggest frustrations is the massive quality gap in the data. The public is left with grainy, pixelated clips where it is hard to see fine details. Meanwhile, the military conceals ultra-high-resolution videos captured by state-of-the-art radar and camera systems. Now, scientists are left to solve the greatest mystery of our time with one hand tied behind their backs, forced to squint at low-quality footage while the real evidence remains classified. If it wasn't so important, why keep it a secret? The military claims they are protecting their advanced sensor capabilities so global adversaries do not learn how our defense systems work. Yet, many suspect a much deeper fear, that officials are terrified of what the raw truth might unleash. Loeb issued a stern warning to Washington as he stated clearly that science cannot progress in the shadows, and hiding this vital data actively hinders humanity's survival. Instead of waiting around for the Pentagon to share its hoarded secrets, Loeb used his own private network of sensors to capture the very anomalies the government wanted to keep hidden. This bold move has ignited the ultimate scientific turf war, pitting Loeb's privately funded Galileo project directly against the Pentagon's highly bureaucratic, classified military system. At its core, this is a massive clash of philosophies. Loeb firmly believes that any data about potential alien technology belongs to all of humanity, meaning it should be completely open source and shared with scientists worldwide. On the other hand, the military views these anomalies strictly as a national security threat, treating them as weaponized secrets that must be locked away from public view. To bypass the government gatekeepers, Loeb designed and deployed the Galileo sensor network. This sophisticated array of optical, infrared, and radio sensors is placed at strategic locations around the globe, watching the skies 24 hours a day. Unlike military hardware, these cameras are not classified. The project is actively collecting its own raw, unedited data, creating a real threat to the Pentagon's monopoly on the truth. If the Galileo sensor were to ever capture a clear, undeniable craft, Loeb could instantly share his findings on the internet before government officials have a chance to hide the footage. The Pentagon has a hard time stopping him because of one key factor, which is financial independence. Most academic research relies heavily on government grants, which gives federal agencies a lot of leverage to silence scientists who step out of line. Loeb has found a way to bypass this trap by funding the Galileo project entirely through wealthy, visionary private donors. Because the government doesn't hold the strings, they cannot threaten to pull his funding or shut down his laboratories. This freedom has allowed Loeb to rally a global coalition of international scientists. He is building an academic rebel alliance, aiming to wrest control of the UAP narrative away from the military-industrial complex. This creates an incredibly tense situation behind closed doors. As a member of the White House UAP Science Advisory Council, Loeb sits in top-secret briefings, learning about the areas where these objects are most active. While he cannot leak classified files, he can use his insider knowledge to point his independent tracking systems toward those exact global hotspots. With a research group challenging the government's monopoly on the truth, it leaves us wondering if the mad scientist will prove the existence of alien technology first and share it with the world, or if the military will successfully hide it away to weaponize it in secret. Unfortunately, time is running out. Because, according to Avi Loeb's prediction, these 40 files are just the prelude to an imminent cosmic event that will change human history forever. The Cosmic Forecast. According to Loeb, humanity may be much closer to confirming the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence than most people realize. He argues this is not a distant possibility for future generations, but a development that could unfold within our lifetime. His theory is that humans are unlikely to encounter biological aliens directly because the immense distances between stars make such journeys impractical for living beings. Instead, he believes the first contact will occur between artificial intelligence systems, with human-made AI communicating with highly advanced autonomous alien probes that have crossed the cosmos for thousands of years. This is why Loeb urges the scientific community to change its strategy. For decades, researchers have mounted massive radio dishes in space, hoping to catch a stray signal from a distant planet, which Loeb says is a waste of time. He believes a better strategy is being on the lookout for physical evidence, which he calls techno-signatures. These are physical robotic probes or pieces of ancient technology floating directly in our solar system or even crashing into our oceans. He predicts that a major breakthrough is coming very soon. Within a remarkably short window, independent civilian sensor networks will capture a flawless, ultra-high-definition video of a UAP. And this time around, it will be verified by multiple types of cameras and radar systems at the same time, leaving zero room for doubt. Once it happens, it will trigger an existential shockwave across the planet. The official confirmation of non-human technology will disrupt global financial markets, force religious institutions to rethink their place in the cosmos, and shake up geopolitical power structures. Loeb is very concerned that humans are completely unprepared for this change. We often view ourselves as the apex of intelligence, but we might actually be a primitive, low-level civilization in a highly populated universe. Yet, this realization could also be our saving grace. Loeb envisions a future where discovering a superior cosmic intelligence forces warring nations to finally look past their differences. It could encourage us to dismantle our borders and unite as a single human species. He suspects the current wave of military data releases is not a coincidence, but a slow, calculated effort to prepare the public for an inevitable world-altering event. And the countdown has officially started. As we stand on the edge of this terrifying new frontier, a massive question remains. How will the world react when the final veil of secrecy is violently torn away? The era of dismissing unexplained aerial phenomena with cheap jokes is officially over. Thanks to the Pentagon's fourth data release and Avi Loeb's scientific backing, this topic has transformed into a critical matter of national survival. This massive shift has triggered a wave of excitement inside the world's most prestigious universities. Now the young generation of researchers and brilliant physics students are focusing their research toward anomalous physics, hoping to unlock the secrets of this mysterious technology. Behind closed doors, the stakes could not be higher. Defense agencies reportedly fear that if rivals such as China or Russia unlock advanced propulsion technology first, the global military balance could change overnight. Beyond national security, such a breakthrough would challenge long-held beliefs, prompting scientific, cultural, and religious reflection. For ordinary people, it could inspire both unease and humility, raising profound questions about humanity's place in a far larger universe. With the potential disruptions, Loeb is urging the United Nations to establish immediate diplomatic and scientific protocols for responding to non-human intelligence. We cannot afford to make up the rules on the fly, which is why Loeb's relentless pursuit of the truth has secured his legacy as the modern-day Galileo, a scientist who willingly put his elite reputation on the line to open our eyes to a deeply unsettling reality. Alongside his team, Loeb is refusing to back down. They are continuing to bypass the bureaucratic gatekeepers, analyze fresh physical anomalies, and demand the immediate release of the 50 highly classified files that the Pentagon kept hidden in the dark. What do you guys think? Do you believe the 90-degree turning crafts are alien tech or a secret military project? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.